This is Line Seiki's webinar, and the title is Big Counter Thorough Examination. So this large counter has gained some popularity and many units have been delivered not only to our Japanese customers, but also to our customers overseas, like the United States and European countries, and so on. In this webinar, we will delve into this big popular counter. First of all, let's see what kind of electronic counters Line Seiki manufactures, including the big counter. We have various electronic counters, and I'd like to make some comparison in terms of size and functionality. The first one is GR2. This is the smallest one. The function is narrowed down, so what it does is count up only. It never counts down. The next one is G48. This counter is larger than GR2 and it outputs a signal at a target value. Next, MD0. It is no comparison with the functionalities of G48, but it does not lose count value even if power supply is stopped, which is a little superior to GR2. E21. It has way higher functionality compared with other electronic counters, and it can work as a tachometer. In addition, it is equipped with serial communication function. This counter can work in many ways. We still have more electronic counters, but today I'd like to introduce a large counter, G9095. It is very much bigger than any other counters, and its function vary depending on model number. Now then, let's get into the large counter, G9095. G9095 series is proud of its biggest size and highest visibility among Line Seiki's counters. Let's check some applications. For example, factory. It shows how many parts or products were manufactured by a machine. It counts produced quantity or displays target value. So G9095 is very useful to share this kind of information across shop floor. You don't have to limit the applications to count the number of pieces. In combination with a length sensor or an encoder, G9095 counter can display length of something, such as paper, plastic film, aluminum foil, and so on. In addition, it will be possible to use this large counter at event venues like art museums. We received an inquiry saying we want to count and show the number of visitors at a venue. So let's check the specifications that are common to all the models of G9095 series. First of all, dimensions. G90 counters have a panel size of 132 mm high and 401 mm wide. G95 counters have an even larger panel, 178 mm high and 626 mm wide. Both of them are large displays, therefore, the value on the panel is visible from a wide angle, up, down, left, right. And having a large panel means figure size is big. As to G90 series, its figure is 56.8 mm high. As for G95, it has even bigger figure, 101.6 mm high. Thanks to the big figure sizes, it's easy to see from a distance. And the figures of G90 series and G95 series produce red light. This is because LED is used and it emits red light. So even if it's dark out there, the figures are still easy to see. The next one is the most basic of basics, count function. It says add, subtract respectively. In other words, the counter can increase and decrease the count value when it receives electronic signals. First, let's see add, namely how it increases the count value. By sending electronic signals or pulses to the counter, it is possible to count up like this. There are two ways to send pulses: contact input, which is like switching on and off. Another one is non-contact input, like applying voltage. Let's check subtract 2. Like this, it is possible to decrease the number by sending pulses to the counter. There is another way to count. It says 90 degrees quadrature input, and this is also one of the ways to send pulse signals to the counter. Our length sensors can send pulse signals in the manner of 90 degrees quadrature, and by utilizing this feature, it is possible to increase and decrease the count value on the counter according to the rotational direction of the wheels. For example, increase the value when the wheels rotate in clockwise direction, and decrease the value when the wheels rotate in anti-clockwise direction. Let's see it perform. The count value increased and decreased, and it worked this way along with the rotational direction of the wheels of length sensor. This function is very useful when you want to measure the length of something and show the measurement big. By the way, count range is negative 99,999 to positive 999,999, so 6 digits. It reads like this. Please note the minus sign is counted as 1 digit. There are many more detailed specifications, but we ran through the primary items that are common to all the models. So let's check features that belong to each model. Both G90 and G95 series can be classified into 3 groups: 301, 303, and 305. The group 301 is specialized in counting, and this is the sole function of this group. Therefore, G90 301 and G95 301 are the simplest and basic models. How about the group of 303? This group is, of course, equipped with count function. But in addition, 303 models can accept preset value setting. By using this function, it is possible to reset count value to a non-zero number, or to fix an arbitrary value on the display. We'll see details of this function later. To conduct these settings, we use BCD input to enter a specific value into G90-303 or G95-303. Lastly, the group of 305. This group is also equipped with count function, and it also accepts preset value setting. So, in terms of these 2 points, group 305 is the same to group 303. And what is the difference? In fact, what is different is the way to conduct preset value setting. The group 303 uses BCD input. On the other hand, the group 305 uses remote controller or serial communication. Now, I'd like to show you how to set preset value for 303 group. First, let's see reset to a non-zero number. This function enables you to start counting from any value you like and to get back to that value when the counter is reset. For example, there are some users who want to start counting not from 0, but from 100. And they decrease the value like this. This is the most appropriate function for such an application. In this case, when the counter is reset, the value gets back to 100. This is the function of resetting to a non-zero number. Now let's check the function to fix an arbitrary value on the display. We call it display mode. By turning off the count function, you can use this mode to make the counter keep on showing any value you like on the display. Since the count function is turned off, this model is appropriate to show and fix an arbitrary value. For example, today's target is to produce 3,000 parts. When you use display mode, setting range is from 0 to 999,999. You cannot show any negative numbers. On the contrary, when you use the function to reset to a non-zero number, setting range is from negative 99,999 to positive 999,999. Namely, the setting range includes negative numbers. To utilize these functions, you need to use BCD input. Let's check what it is briefly. This is an image of G9095303. On this part, there is an electrical connector, D sub miniature or D sub. And this is an illustration of the connector. Pins are numbered from 1 to 25. To conduct BCD input, we send electronic signals to these pins. The group of pin number 1 to 4 covers the first digit. The first digit is located on the far right of the display. From this first digit, pin number 5 to 8 cover the second digit. Number 9 to 12 are responsible for the third digit, and it goes on to the sixth digit. As you can see, each 4-pin group handles each digit, and each digit shows numbers from 0 to 9. Then how does each digit show numbers from 0 to 9? In fact, we utilize combinations of on and off of the 4 pins. For example, when the pin number 1 is on and number 2 to 4 are off, that counter will show 1. On the display, the value will be shown like this. In this case, this is the sole pin that is turned on. When we apply the same combination to the other pins, the display reads in this way. From the first digit to the sixth digit, it all displays 1. But why does it work like this? For digital devices like electronic counter, combination of on and off is the same to combination of 1 and 0. And BCD input is a method that utilizes combination of 4 1-zeros to show 0 to 9. Specifically, 0000 shows 0. 0001 shows 1. And 0010 shows 2. And it goes on to 9. So, in case you want to show, for example, 15,000 on G9095303, the combinations you choose are this, this, and this. Let's use these combinations and conduct BCD input. The first digit is 0, so BCD input is 0000, and this means all off, and no input to the 4 pins. The same is applied to the second and third digits. The fourth digit is 5. 5 is 0101. Therefore, combination of on and off is this. The fifth digit is 1, therefore 0001. So only this pin should be on. And although it is not shown on the display, 0 is hidden in the sixth digit. BCD input to the sixth digit is 0000, so there is no input. In this way, you can make the electronic counter show 15,000. This is how to set an arbitrary value by BCD input. So that's the way to set an arbitrary value by BCD input. For other settings, such as decimal point position, please open up the lid here and use DIP switches. Now then, let's check how to set preset value of G9095305. It says remote controller and serial communication. But how do we do that? First, remote controller. The first step is, on the counter, set channel number of the remote controller. G9095305 is also equipped with DIP switches. So we utilize the combinations of on and off of switch number 1, 2, 3. By doing so, channel number can be set at any number between 1 and 8. By long pressing the button that you set as channel number, G9095305 enters setting mode. Next, push up or down button to select right display value among the setting items. When 0 or previous setting value is shown on the display, you are on the right track. Let's push the buttons on the remote controller from the first digit in sequence to the sixth digit. If you want to show 123 on the display, push the buttons 1, 2, 3 in sequence. If you want to show 476 on the display, push the button 4, 7, 6 in sequence. The final step is push Enter Save button. The electronic counter gets back to running mode, so you can use it as a counter or a display. Now we are done with the setting. Now let's move on to serial communication. By utilizing the serial communication function of G9095305, you can exchange information between computer or PLC and electronic counter. For information, we need a converter to carry out serial communication, and it does not come with the counter, so please purchase the converter in the market. From here, I will proceed with the explanation about the communication between a computer and the counter. The information that is sent from the computer to the counter is called command. For example, let me know the current count value. On the contrary, the information that is sent from the counter to the computer is called response. For example, the current count value is 100,000. You can also conduct preset value setting remotely from your computer by using this communication function. Let's see how to do it. First of all, let's send a command. What you send is this one. It's hard to see what it means, but the meaning is please reset to 100. When we conduct serial communication, we send each single letter to G9095305 from the first letter greater than sign. When the transmission is completed, setting value is shown in this way. If the counter receives a command from the computer in a normal manner, the counter sends a response in turn. It means acknowledged. Each single letter of the response is also sent to the computer from the first letter A. Now we're done with the setting. Now there are various ways to transmit and receive commands, and Line Seiki can supply you with easy software that you can install in your computer. It's indeed easy software and so very simple to use. When you carry out preset value setting, click on Transmitter located on the upper side of the window. Next, click on Commands. The remaining step is just to choose command and subcommand from the drop-down lists respectively. To set an initial value at reset, command should be WRD and subcommand should be WV. Any commands can be chosen from the drop-down list, so you don't have to memorize all the commands perfectly. And then input a preset value in value field, click on Enter button, then we're done with the setting. And this easy software can be downloaded from our website. It is a free software, so please check it out. So, I introduced how to set reset value by using serial communication. By utilizing serial communication, we can do some more. For example, call up count value, reset count value, etc. It's so convenient. To carry out serial communication, there are some settings to be done beforehand. Choosing an ID number and selecting parity bit. But these settings can also be done by a remote controller, so it's so easy. Now then, let's summarize this webinar. Line Seiki has 3 groups of large counters. First, the group 301. This group is specialized in counting basic models. The next one is the group 303. It also has count function like the group 301, but it has additional functions. Preset value setting through BCD input. Other settings are done with DAP switches. The last one is the group of 305. This group is also equipped with count function, and like the group of 303, you can implement preset value setting. The difference is setting method, remote controller, or serial communication. Other settings are also done by using remote controller or serial communication. There is no superiority or inferiority among the groups. We would like you to choose the most appropriate function and dimensions based on the circumstances of your application. So that's all for this webinar, Big Counter Thorough Examination. We hope you find it informative, but if you have any questions, please check our contact information that will be shown at the end of this video. Thank you very much.